So just before this video gets started, I do want to mention that I have a Discord server. Join if you want to suggest new video ideas. You can even pick roles just as long as you don't get the color yellow. But yeah, if you do like what you see here today, you'll like pretty much everything else on my channel. So why not subscribe? Thanks. Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be talking about the Lanterns TV show. More specifically, the first look that HBO's Twitter account revealed, and the very poor reception that it had with a bunch of commenters and people who just saw the picture. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, this is the picture right here on screen, and I'm going to be honest with you, it just doesn't scream Green Lantern to me. As far as first looks go, I don't really think that this one was the best, and it's kind of disappointing, a little bit, just a little bit. I'm not saying like I'm judging the show in its entirety because we haven't seen anything else except for just the one picture. But I feel like if you look at the picture, you don't exactly know what's going on. You just kind of see two guys there. There's like no hint of green other than the power ring that's on old man Hal Jordan's right hand, which we'll get into in a second. But I don't know. I'm just trying to give my first thoughts on it. And it is just one picture, mind you. I haven't seen anything else about the show or any other leaked screenshots. If there are other leaked screenshots, I haven't seen any of that. This is just the picture that I'm going off of because this is what HBO released themselves. And it just doesn't give off that Green Lantern vibe. Other people seemingly agree with this take because they had similar ones of their own. Great first look for a show about interplanetary space cops, an old disheveled dude and his buddy walking around in plain clothes on a road somewhere. Because I really want to see two heroes with the most powerful devices ever created walking around on a country highway. This is a terrible first look. It looks like a CW show, and the list goes on and on. Now, that last one, I don't know. CW shows, they kind of hit for me. Some people might give me some flack for that, but I like them, all right? They're probably some of the better live action depictions that we have of characters, and, you know, it's just kind of like works for me, I guess. A lot of other people were talking about the casting choices in the show, primarily for Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, which, you know, I'm glad that they're finally on screen together. If I'm being honest, one of my biggest wishes regarding comic books and things like that was for there to be a good live action depiction of Hal Jordan, or even just Green Lantern, right? And if you guys didn't know, when it comes to DC, Green Lantern, my favorite character by far, specifically Hal Jordan. And one of my biggest questions about the whole thing is, why is there a older Hal Jordan? Like, what's exactly the play here? Are we going for like a Emerald Twilight where Hal Jordan becomes Parallax kind of thing? I was very confused and still am. I have no idea who this actor is. I don't know, maybe in the scene that this screenshot is from, old man Hal Jordan is trying to show Jon Stewart how the ring actually works. Now, even though I just said that, even though I'm still confused, I don't know who the actor is, I don't know how good he's going to be, how well he's going to portray Hal Jordan, I don't know any of that stuff. Even though that's the case, it's not the worst thing in the world, okay? There's a couple of things that I could think of that could be worse, but having an old man Hal Jordan maybe isn't the worst thing in the world. It's just not my preference, and it actually could open up a lot of doorways to how they could even approach the situation, right? Like, I know that Hal Jordan originally trained Jon Stewart when the character was first introduced. However, when they first met and Hal Jordan became aware of the Guardians' decision to make Jon Stewart a Green Lantern, Hal was originally against it. He was like, no way. And it was simply due to the fact that Jon Stewart had a bit of an attitude problem when it came to authority figures, and he had such a problem with them to the point where it kind of became hard for Hal to even train him, really. So they definitely did butt heads at times, but after they got over that initial hump, they actually became pretty good friends. But that is just one aspect of things. There is a Reddit post that I do want to bring up because it does bring up some pretty good points that I agree with myself, and maybe you will too. The original poster is the_R Zeus, and he says, anyone else disappointed about getting an older Hal Jordan? I'm honestly disappointed with the fact that Hal Jordan is probably not going to be the main GL in the DCU based on the fact that he's being portrayed by an older actor. Don't get me wrong, John's great and all, but I honestly don't realize the hate for Hal. Yes, he does have some questionable comics, and let's not talk about the movie, but even still, John's been the main GL in the Justice League since like the early 2000s, but I really wanted to see prime Hal Jordan. To me, he's the very essence of the Green Lantern Corps, and he has some incredible storylines to pull from, and I think that they could have really made him work for the Justice League in the DCU. He was one of the first humans to be chosen by the Green Lantern Corps, and other than the Guardians themselves, the only one to bring a Green Lantern ring into existence himself. And in the words of Guy Gardner, Hal is meant to be the best of them. Add on to the fact that John really doesn't have villains outside of the collective Justice League, while Hal has more personal connections with Sinestro, Parallax, and Atrocitus. Plus, I also think that he has better storylines with both Batman and Superman. Now, I definitely agree with this for sure. Not just because Hal Jordan is my favorite Green Lantern, but I just feel like Hal Jordan himself didn't really get the depiction that he deserved. The only live action version of Hal Jordan that I even know of, or that we all even know of, is the one that Ryan Reynolds did and makes fun of to this day. And now when I look back at it and watch it, the suits looked hideous, the constructs looked weird. Don't even get me started on how Kilowog was done. Not to mention the fact that Hal Jordan in recent adaptations like the DC animated movies, or even just like some of the video games that he's in, man, I get that he's not the main character, but damn it, he has a power ring. This is one of the most powerful weapons in the damn universe, okay? I want to see that power full screen in my face, like, wow, okay, this is the strongest weapon in the universe. I want to feel that, you know? And I just never really got that. Nobody did, because they don't really depict Hal Jordan or Green Lanterns as some of the strongest heroes. I guess in the comics, as you would expect, you could say that they do a better job at depicting their strength, but I guess it just really depends on who's writing them, right? Anyways, I just kind of went on a little side tangent there, but like I was saying before, I do agree with this because, I mean, he's right about pretty much everything. John Stewart is really good on his own, for sure. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to do John Stewart right, but I don't know, man. If they're going to have him as the main Green Lantern, one of the biggest villains of Green Lantern, Sinestro, might just end up feeling like another underwhelming villain. Lastly, another thing that I want from this TV show is for them to show the differences in constructs that are made from Hal Jordan and that are made from John Stewart. I don't want them to look the same, right? I might be asking a little bit too much, okay? I know, but just hear me out, okay? We haven't had a good Green Lantern depiction in ever. So like, come on, you know what I'm saying? Like, just let me have this. All right. Anyways, when I say this, what I'm referring to is how in the comics, you can tell that with all of the earthly Green Lanterns, or even some of the other Green Lanterns that aren't patrolling 2814, they all use their rings in very different ways. It might be just like the smallest minute detail, but it's theirs nonetheless. And it's because of their background. Like, for example, John Stewart, he was an engineer before he became a Green Lantern, and he was also a Marine sniper. However, because he was an engineer, you can see how detailed and thought out all of his constructs are. Whereas with Hal Jordan, they might not be as detailed, or even with Kyle Rayner, he was a comic book nerd and an artist. So giving someone like that a tool that's thought-based, he's able to make incredible constructs that are very detailed, similarly to how John is, but you can tell it's his because it's almost like how people write differently. People can write the same thing, but they do it in their own way. Somebody might do it in cursive, others might do it in print, but most of the time you can tell who's writing what. Anyways, guys, that's just my thoughts on what could come of this new Green Lantern HBO show. And I hope that finally Green Lantern gets that justice that he desperately needs when it comes to the live action scene. I'll see you guys in the next one. Sub up, stay safe, and peace.